Hello and welcome. I'm Margaret Ann Lembo, and I'm here tonight to share with you about crystal grids. I'm all about activating the grids of light. Many, many years ago, I had the realization that we have the ability as humans to work with the energetics of the planet to focus love and well being for the whole entire planet, but also a very specific situations. So, working with gemstones is very powerful to add energy to your imagination, to your intention. So, as you can see here, this is a little excerpt from my book, Crystals Beyond Beginners. A crystal grid allows you to extend a positive intention out to the world for the purpose of contributing to universal peace and harmony. When undertaken with strong positive intention, the result of such grids can be transformative. Yes, very transformative. So overall, we're going to be touching base on some of these ideas for crystal grids, including for your home, your garden, your desk, your office. Good communication, that's always an important one as far as I'm concerned. For peaceful interactions, which also has to do with good communication, uh, healthy boundaries and protection, and for children and older folk. Now, I don't know that I did anything specific regarding children and older folk in this particular presentation, but it is in this book, Crystals Beyond Beginners, that you see on the screen, and also my book, The Essential Guide to Crystals, Minerals, and Stones. So let's go ahead and take a look at a grid for good communication. Now, basically, I love to do things where they're just star-like, you know, diagrams, if you will, or placement of gemstones in a star-like positions. So here I use blue chalcedony, which is the center sphere, the stone in the middle. Uh, these are blue fossil points, which I happen to have in stock here at my store. I'm speaking to you live from the Crystal Garden, from the Angel Room, which is now our studio. And so these happened to be in stock, so it was easy for me to make a grid out of them. And lapis lazuli points, little baby points. So you don't have to necessarily use these particular gemstones, but if you use blue stones, like alternative stones, you see the list on your right, like angelite, aquamarine, blue calcite, blue lace agate, larimar, or sodalite. Anything that's a light blue. There's even more light blue stones that I don't have listed. So does it have to be a point? No, you can use tumbled stones to make a grid. Now the idea is that you're setting an intention when you're creating the grid. So let's say you make this placement, this beautiful geometric pattern. Um, you can place it anywhere. You could put it could be in your home, it could be in your office, it could be on a nightstand. It could be anywhere in your life. You can have this kind of a grid. And that's so every time you walk by it, every time you pass it, it brings it back to mind why you created it. Ah, yes, I'm working on being a good communicator. Or I am working on, always working on having inner peace. And I think the more that we all do that, the happier our life personally and planetarily will be. Now, I wanted to bring this up briefly. You can add sound. When I brought people to sacred sites to do crystal grids, which I'll talk about a little later in the presentation, we usually used our voices. We toned, you know, like, do I want to do this to you? Uh, and then maybe there were like 20 other people who are doing different harmonics while we're all intending and activating the grids of light on the planet to bring more light, more love, more peace, more harmony. Harmony. So harmonious sounds like music, or even using like a Tibetan bell, a Tibetan bowl, a crystal singing bowl, or even tinctures. You can use different sound patterns to bring harmonious interaction. And so that's just to add more energy to a grid. So here's an example of just one of many choices for making a grid for money or good fortune. So again, I used what we had on our shelves here at the Crystal Garden, and these big points that you see, or massage wands, is the way I look at those, are jade. Those are jade, and then the green oval, they're round stones or oval like. Those are actually worry stones. Those are jade worry stones. And then there's also gold tiger's eye and red tiger's eye. So basically, it's jade and tiger's eye in this particular grid. And the center is a Merkaba or Merkaba in tiger's eye. And I like tiger's eye because of the gold vibration. It's also good for protection, for setting the vibration of being safe and sound. And so if you're safe and sound, then you're probably having good luck, good fortune. And if everything is safe and sound, your abundance can maintain safety. You can have a strong foundation. So you can also get a little bit more dramatic if you want. I'm all about being dramatic with making an emphasis. Now, again, these can be placed almost anywhere in your home, in your space. You don't have to use big stones. It doesn't have to be a big grid. It can be a little small thing. Now, you may not have banded $100 bills in bundles like that, but you could put a $100 bill, or we even have these gold prosperity bills that we sell that are like $3 a piece, but I think they're $3. But the point is that they're gold and they're symbolic of financial abundance and prosperity. We call them prosperity bills. So you can place something that represents money, I guess is the point, in the center of the grid. And then these happen to be green tourmaline points. Now, these aren't so easy to come across, but I wanted to bring up this idea because whether it's green tourmaline or you could have, it doesn't have to be a point. You can use green aventurine or emeralds or even green dyed agate, which is very pretty. Because you also want it to be appealing to you, appealing to your eye. And then I have in here cinnamon sticks. You know, some of you have heard me tell you that I have this cinnamon stick always in our cash drawer here at the Crystal Garden. We're here 33 years later, and I still have a cinnamon stick in there. It's a new cinnamon stick. The other one deteriorated. That happens. But it's refreshed and renewed. And you can also work with essential oils and sprays. Like I created a spray called Prosperity Mist. But there's also, you can just on its own, patchouli is very good for financial success, as is, of course, the cinnamon, which you can get in a cinnamon oil for inhalation. This is not necessarily for um, putting on you. You could put it on you, but the cinnamon I wouldn't put on you because it will burn your skin. But just to inhale it for imagining, visualizing, intending financial success and abundance. Because it's all about your intention and your imagination. You create through your imagination. If you can visualize it, you can make it become a reality. Many of you know that, but it's always good for us to have this reminder. So the other day we got in these really pretty rose quartz stars, and I was like, "Oh, I want to play with them." So I created this grid of rose quartz stars, and the other stones in here are the aquamarine tumbled stones, little tumbled pieces, and the center piece is a blue chalcedony sphere. We just got those in. So I figured take advantage and use those. So for angel communication, so I'm very much, since I was a little girl, very much connected with the angelic realm and being open to receive guidance, messages, direction, ideas, inspiration from the angels or from the divine. You can look at it that way. And the divine speaks to me through the angels. Everyday Angels. In fact, that's the cover of my book, The Essential Guide to Everyday Angels. And this same, this particular grid is really perfect for creating a grid for loving communication. So we make that intention every time you pass it. If you know, over the years, I have sometimes have challenges with the way my tone comes across or how I, share information. And I'm intense. I'm an intense person. So I work on being mindful of that. And so this is a perfect grid for me to have. I should have this out all the time. So, grid for love, you can keep it simple. Big rose quartz heart, easy peasy lemon squeezy. You can easily keep it very simple and just place a gemstone somewhere that is important to you. It could be a nightstand, it could be a windowsill, it could be where you cook. I have a windowsill looking out to my backyard where I wash, where my sink is, and right next to it is my stove. You know, Putting gemstones on that windowsill is important to me because it brings my eye to look at that. And even if it's not, it is conscious on the when I place it with intention, but even on an unconscious or maybe say subconscious level, I'm reminding myself that all that I'm cooking, I'm staying present in the moment, and that it's all filled with love. And that the focus is on gratitude and gratitude for the people who brought the food all the way to my table, from the person who planted the seed or cared for the animals to the person who took care of the people that took care of the animals, to the person that drove the truck to get it to the store, to the point the guy in the finance department, or the person that's doing the marketing. There's so many people involved, and so I say keep focused on that, so I don't focus on something that's not necessarily positive while I'm cooking. Yeah, if you want to see the effects of that, check out like Water for Chocolate. It's a great book and or movie. They'll get that idea. Here's a grid for healing. So basically, you can use any green stones, just saying. So I happen to choose for this, I focused on Archangel Raphael because Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing. And this is a labradorite um, star in the center. And then there are malachite tumbled stones around the middle ring. And then coming out from there are green obsidian tumbled glass stones. So obsidian is glass. Naturally forming obsidian typically is black. This is green. It's man-made. It's a green glass. Does that mean it's not effective? I have the brilliance, and you'll see them if you stay for our show right after this. The brilliance of these glass green obsidian pieces are beautiful. So it makes a beautiful grid. So if it's pretty to you, if it's appealing to you, it's effective for your intention. So if you're intending on calling on Archangel Raphael, he who heals, you can form the intention while you're creating the grid and then asking God, Goddess, Creator, to allow Raphael to assist you, or the person that you're forming the grid for, it could be you or for someone else, that you maybe find the right health professionals, that you eat the right foods, let food be thy medicine, that you take the right supplements, drink the right amount of water, get the right amount of sunlight, and also hold the right mindset that you are healthy, whole, and complete, and that you're so grateful for a healthy body, mind, and soul. Where's my Archangel Michael one? Did I skip it? I'm going back for a second. Yep, I don't know. I'm going to look around here. All right, maybe what's coming up later. You get to see my other pieces. So if you wanted to create a grid for the moon, so that's a selenite sphere in the very center, but you can use selenite for the whole entire grid because selenite is named after the moon goddess, Selene. So you could have just only selenite. You can do, one gemstone grids very easily. You can also take the grid and put it all over the house and make it so that you're connecting the grids of light, which I'll talk about it in a few more slides. But in this particular one, we have the black tumbled stones, which these are nice quality. I like the way they're tumbled, are black tourmaline. And then we have a clear quartz crescent moon. And then on the other side is I think that's a blue goldstone crescent moon. And blue goldstone is also glass. It's made from copper sulfite, and it's a man-made stone. And so that makes a nice combination. Why would you make a grid to connect with the moon? Well, the moon cycles have an effect on us physically and emotionally. which therefore would be mentally and spiritually as well. So when we're having full moons, the tides are high, and so is the water content of our body, which affects how we react and act in our life. And so it can help us become more conscious of the various cycles of the moon. New moons are very, very beneficial when you want to set an intention for a new beginning, because that's another new beginning, a new moon. So you can work with the moon cycles as well as your intention. So crystal grids in the foundation. So if you're building a new home, or even if you already have a house and you want to put gemstones around the property, you can do that. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Get inexpensive clear quartz points, or tumbled stones that are very inexpensive. No need to spend a lot of money to do this, to form grids. But you can place it around your property while you're also connecting with the Devic forces of the land. Devic, Devic forces. So the Devic forces are the nature spirits, the elemental spirits that are part of your personal space, your personal property. So whether you live in an apartment or a bigger complex, it doesn't matter. You can still connect with the earth spirits that are there and align with them to make the space a healthy, happy space. If you want to read more about that type of thing, I recommend Michelle Small Wright's book, Perelandra Gardens. That's spelled Perelandra. I believe I said that right. Or even, although the MAP, M-A-P, that Michelle Small Wright's books are, the Perelandra Gardens, very, very powerful. And so check that out. Also, Fintorn Garden is another good one to connect with, to find out how to connect with nature and the nature spirits. The crystal grids can be formed, or grids with your intention. Do you need to have a crystal in the ground? No, not necessarily. So what would be some intentions? Why would you create a grid? So you might want to create grids that have to do with having better friends, better friendships, more love in your life, your relationships on so many levels. Well, whether it's family, work relationships, we're in relationship with everything in life, and with romance, romantic relationships as well. You can have a grid that has to do with health and well-being, as I already mentioned earlier, money, creativity, and motivation. So I like to put that all together in one. And these are also the categories that are part of my Crystal Intentions Oracle, which goes into that and deeper into working with intentions. Money, creativity, and motivation. Notice I have motivation and creativity with money. So we need to be motivated, we need to be creative in order to have the financial abundance that we need or want in our life. At least I think so. Another category is safety, feeling safe and sound, feeling like you're always divinely protected. Happiness and self-confidence go hand in hand. That vibration is a yellow vibe. And intuition and communication. So that has to do with, being not just communicating with others, verbally, but also being intuitively tuned in to another person and being able to communicate in a good way that has to do with knowing, sensing, and feeling who that other person is and really hearing and listening to them when they're speaking. Intuition also has to do with having the guidance that you need and want in your life always, in all aspects of your life, which is so nice to have that. All right, so back to like looking at property. So you may or may not have a floor plan, or this in fact is more of an architectural design for landscaping. But you can plant certain things, whether it's a statue of a little nature spirit, or you could put seashells can be very effective for creating a grid, which I use all of these things. I have them in my home garden, outside my front door, some in my backyard, here at the Crystal Garden, front and back. And there are statues, little statues of angels. words. You can put a plaque that has a saying on it. That's an intention. In fact, in the front yard of the crystal garden, I have a peace pole, and it says, "May peace prevail on earth" in 4 languages. So you walk around it and you see it in 4 different languages. So that's a way to plant your intention, to set your intention. So you can do that with also what plants you plant in your garden and why you want those plants in your garden. Not just because they're pretty, which is also very much why I plant. I'm very much a gardener. I love to garden, and makes me very happy and healthy. But you can do that with your yard, or if you're not in a place where you have a yard, you can still have plants. I have plenty of friends who have their own personal jungle in their house. I do. And before I lived on a piece of property with plenty of land, I lived in a condo, and I had quite the collection of various types of plants on my patio, and you can do somewhat like that too with house plants. Now, in your home, you can create a grid by placing gemstones around each room. And let's say we'll take a bedroom. You can place gemstones in all 4 corners. What gemstones? It depends on what your intention is. So if you really want this one particular bedroom to have more of a vibe of protection and grounding and feeling safe and secure, then you might want to put stones like black tourmaline or hematite or smoky quartz in the 4 corners. And then what I do is I visualize that there's a grid of light that attaches the 2 gemstones, or in my case, or I would say really 4 crystals, 4 gemstones, that creates an orb above and down under and below the foundation into the earth to create this network, matrix, grid of light and protection. So you can do that per room or for the whole entire or for the whole entire house. So you can just have crystals around your house. People don't know why you're placing them. They don't need to know. But you can place them with intention so that you know that that rose quartz that's on your piano is hooked up and connected with the selenite at your front door, hooked up with the amethyst on your windowsill and your kitchen, to the black tourmaline that's on the bathroom windowsill, that connects to the lapis lazuli in your meditation room or your personal space. The possibilities are endless. So many of you that have been watching my mini workshops and listening and sharing in our Facebook live shows, you know a lot about crystals now. And if not, you know that you can pick up my book easily, any one of my books, and look up, what do I want? What do I want to put for love? What do I want to put for good luck? What do I want to put for good health? And you can find the information and then find a stone that you're attracted to. That's more important than what any book says, mine or anybody else's. You're attracted to it, it makes you think of a certain thing, and then place it. And then you'll find that with your intention, because you're setting an intention, you're creating a grid that's perfect for you. So you try to visualize, well, let's say on this particular image, which I thought was a really cool image, you can have crystals on the nightstands, which I've spoken on this on prior little mini workshops. You can have even crystals in your closet, in the back corners of your closet, because energy gets stuck in corners and in the closets. So that's a good place to activate energy and light in the corners. So that was just to bring that up. And then here's a property. This to me looks like it could be a Manhattan, it looks like a Manhattan flat. And this just, is very basic, it's very clean. You can still put a crystal or 2 somewhere, somehow decoratively, and make an intention that you're forming to create what it is that you want. I can't tell you what you want. You know what you want, right? So even in the office, so this is a floor plan of an office with cubicles, with conference rooms. And so if it's your space, your personal space, then you can on your desk create a grid, and it doesn't have to look like anything but some crystals and a plant or something on your right on your desk. So you might put, on one side you might put an amethyst cluster to transform and transmute any challenging situations that might arise at the workspace. You might want to have a pink calcite or any pink stone like rose quartz or rhodonite that will help to make sure that there's loving vibrations going on in the workplace. And I would say blue stones would be very good for keeping tempers down and for keeping calm and tranquil, like lapis lazuli, blue lace agate, angelite, but almost any blue stone, even larimar. And then if you wanted to, you could, if you are the person that's in charge of the bigger office, the only, like say this whole space, then you can create a grid by placing crystals throughout the whole setup, the whole floor plan. The choice is yours. All right. So once upon a time, pretty long time ago, back in 1993 or four, maybe 95 too. I had this vision uh, while I was well, let's say meditating. And I had this vision of being at Chichen Itza, which I did not know where I was until I did some research. In this vision I had that I was bringing people, and we all went to this place that ended up being Chichen Itza, and we reactivated the grids of light on that sacred site. And I actually did do this. I did it twice. I went with my cousin Maria, who was an anthropologist and had actually lived with Mayan people in that area near Merida, Yucatan Peninsula, basically. So it wasn't just a Chichen Itza, it was a Uxmal, Zibel Chaltun, and someplace else I can't remember the name of in this moment. And what we would do, like this happens to be a picture of Chichen Itza. So some people were up on top of the pyramid for this grid that we created. I had given everybody their own to use for this experience. They borrowed one of my tabular quartz crystals, which I still have that original set all together that we took to Chichen Itza because they're like keys of energy. And the picture on the right, I sat on that. That's the Venus platform. And then there were other people at other parts of this very decent sized sacred site. And I think I brought with me tinctures. I used something to activate the sound. And then we all started imagining that we were connecting grids of light between ourselves and around this whole site. And then that expanded beyond. So we had the conversation and visualization prior to going to standing in different parts of the sacred site. And then we all did that in their locations, and then they came back and we all gathered again on top of the Venus platform and visualized it again. And it was very profound and very beautiful, and we did this at more than one location in the Yucatan Peninsula. Now, yes, I also got to do the same thing similarly at Machu Picchu. It was a little bit more subtle. There was people around, and I wasn't as obvious. Like it would have been obvious, so we did it a little bit differently. But brought people twice to Machu Picchu and did the same thing, and it was a really gorgeous experience. And so you can do this when you go to sacred sites anywhere in the world, not just these places that I'm mentioning. And of course, at Stonehenge, and that was more compact. We were inside the middle of the circle of the Stonehenge circle, and the sacred energy was being activated during ceremony. And I did use crystals for that. Not everybody that was in the group did, but we did a very sacred ceremony with a dear friend of mine. And I did that actually twice as well. I guess I had to go twice to all these places now that I think about it. So that is that particular second one, when we went to the second time. No, the first time that I went to the Stonehenge and that whole area was actually activating the grids of light by walking the Mary and Michael ley lines, starting in Saint Marie de la Mer's in France, and then traveling across France and up into England and activating the grids of light. It was profound, it was intense, it was beautiful. I loved it. So that's it for tonight, ladies and gents. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you got some ideas of how you can work a little bit more deeply with working with crystals and grids for your home and your office and beyond. And so next week we'll be joining together again at 5:45 for a little mini meditation experience. We're going to work, and I'm going to actually not only teach about a crystal alignment chakra balancing, but I'm also going to help you have an experience of having a crystal alignment chakra balancing remotely. So if you have different colored gemstones, go ahead and get the 7 colors ready so that if you want to, you can lie down and place the gemstones on you for part of the part of the experience. It will be during the workshop that I'll do that. So let's say here's some ideas just to get you going. If you have a black stone or a red stone for the root chakra, an orange stone for the sacral or navel chakra, a yellow stone for the solar plexus, a pink and or green stone for your heart center, pastel blue for your throat chakra. But for the third eye, you'll want an indigo blue or an amethyst, a purple gemstone for your third eye, even an apophyllite or a clear quartz. And for the crown chakra, if you want, you can use some clear quartz or selenite, something like that. So if you have those on hand, which most of you that are watching, I know that you do, have them ready and be in a place where you can like lie down or put some of them on you and have a chakra guided meditation for that. I'll do a little mini chakra meditation in the beginning for the little 10-15 minute one, but then at the end of the other workshop, a little bit nicer chakra balancing. All right, so if you want to know about future events, just go to thecrystalgarden.com/calendar. And replays are available for all my events, the meditations, and these little mini workshops on my YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe, I'd love that. Thank you. That's youtube.com/Margaret Ann Lembo. Thank you so much for watching, and may you be filled with love, light, and well being.